They go back to 1969, the last time they won a conference crown, and that was in the ACC. At the goal line is DeBose. And he's got a crease, and he is going to go coast to coast through the swamp. Touchdown.
Didn't he do that the last time we were here for the LSU game a month ago? My goodness.
You saw the reaction of that young lady from South Carolina. She said, what just happened? What happened was a 100-yard touchdown return on the opening kick.
Not a single hand was even close to being laid on Andre DeBose.
Henry in for the point after. You wanted fireworks in Gainesville? Only took us about 12 seconds. Maybe not that long.
This is absolutely the worst thing that could have happened to Steve Spurrier's team, to get started this way. Watch this. Now, he's got an escort in Gillislee. He doesn't even need Gillislee to get a block. Nobody is even close to laying a finger on DeBose. He runs right up the sideline, right up the numbers, and nobody is even close to touching him. That is just poor kick coverage by South Carolina to start this football game.
That one that Todd was talking about was 88 yards. This one is an even 100. From line to line. 7-0 Florida. We knew they had a new high-speed offense. We didn't know it was going to be one play.
Wow.
Well, we'll try it going back the other way. Florida will kick it right back. Bryce Sherman is back deep for South Carolina. A lot of people haven't even taken their seats yet in the stadium. Line drive kick, and it's going to go out of bounds. So that'll give South Carolina a good spot to work from with the penalty. The Auburn-Georgia game just finishing up.
Free kick, out of bounds on the kicking team. Ball will be placed at the 40-yard line. First down.
Stephen Garcia, as Todd said, probably his best game, the most efficient anyway, was that win and the upset over Alabama.
You know, I thought it was very important for South Carolina to weather the storm early in this game. Nobody would have predicted that the Thunder would start on the opening kickoff. But they've got to weather the storm of the energy, the crowd, and the emotion of this game and get down to what they do well.
They've got a good starting point after the kick went out of bounds. First down at the 40, and it's Marcus Lattimore. And Lattimore got about 4 for the Gamecocks offensively. As we take a look at their starting lineup, one change on the front wall among the Big Eaters. Kyle Nunn starting at left tackle. Chisholm, Johnson, Watkins, and Eckerson up front. The backs and receivers, you just saw Marcus Lattimore, the sensational freshman. Alshon Jeffrey, an all-SEC performer. Gurley, Moore, and DeMarco is the tight end. And at the controls, Stephen Garcia. A noisy place to try to audible. On second down and 6. He keeps it, and he's going to get a first down. Nice run. Fake the handoff to Lattimore and got the first down.
And he did a nice job of faking out Duke Lemons. Duke Lemons was coming up the field and was responsible for the quarterback, but Garcia made a very quick decision to just put his foot in the ground and turn it right upfield. Watch number 44 come right up the field, and that little move by Garcia was enough to get him for the first down.
So they're in Florida territory already at the 48-yard line. 2 tight ends.
This is the matchup to watch all night. One-on-one. Number 1 for Florida, number 1 for South Carolina.
Lattimore to the 45, pickup of about 3. Jelani Jenkins made the stop for the Florida defense. The defensive fronts for the Gators. Trato, Hunter, Howard, and Lemons. The linebackers, you just saw Jelani Jenkins make that stop with Hicks and Jones. And as Todd said, for the guys to watch, Janoris Jenkins, number 1, will have a busy night with Alshon Jeffrey. Hill, Black, and Brown round out a secondary where everybody seems to get interceptions. Florida comes in with 17 on the season. Quick throw. Here's Alshon Jeffrey. Got a block, but Jenkins brought him down. And it was Gurley who got a piece of Jenkins, and he still was able to bring him down in the open field. That was a tremendous play by Janoris Jenkins. Terrell Austin told us that he plays much bigger than his size is listed in the program at 5'11", 184. That time he got rid of the block from Torrey Gurley, who's much bigger than he is, and then made a tackle on a much bigger receiver in Alshon Jeffrey. Third down, where South Carolina's been excellent this year, 53%. This is a good yardage, too, because the run by either the quarterback or by Lattimore is still in play. Stephen Garcia didn't like the looks of something. He's going to take a timeout. Big third down, and South Carolina's opening drive when we come back. Veterans Day, of course, was Thursday, but all week long, all of us at ESPN have been celebrating Veterans Week. Every day should be Veterans Day, if you ask me. And part of the Gator Walk, a lot of those in the armed forces here today in Gainesville, and we're part of the ceremony with the national anthem before the kickoff between South Carolina and Florida just a few minutes ago. And then if you missed the beginning of the game, it started with a bang, a 100-yard kickoff return. That's where we are, 7-0. And now a 3rd and 3. Marcus Lattimore gets an all-important first down for South Carolina. You know, I mentioned in the very beginning of the show that South Carolina matches up better with Florida than they did against Arkansas. Let me expand on that a little bit. First of all, I think Florida is not as dominant stopping the run as they have been in the last several years under Urban Meyer. And I think South Carolina is better at running the football. I think that they've got the best tailback, pure tailback in the game, and the best wide receiver in the game. And I think they're stronger at quarterback, even though we'll see 3 of them from Florida. And then defensively, they match up much better against Florida. First down, just outside the 37. Draw play. Lattimore's going to be dragged down for a loss of a couple. Let's check in 3rd member of our team, Holly Rowe. Holly?
Well, Todd, part of that formula that you said is Marcus Lattimore needs to be good for the Gamecocks tonight, and he is a little bit more healthy than he was last week when he rushed for a season-low 30 yards against Arkansas after bruising his left knee. I spoke with their athletic trainer before the game. He said he's been fine all week. He actually took all of his normal reps in practice. They just did preventative maintenance to prevent swelling on the knee this week. He's not even wearing a brace, just a sleeve, and that little cut he just made right there, guys, he looks pretty good.
4 wideouts in for South Carolina. 7th play of their opening drive. Garcia across the middle. Tough catch. A good one. Short of the first down to D.L. Moore. Moore, actually the biggest guy of that wide receiver core. That's saying a lot. He weighs 241 pounds. The tallest one's Torrey Gurley at 6'5". The one that's going to be an All-American is Alshon Jeffrey, who's 6'4", 233. So that's the matchup problem for everybody, not just this Florida defense. The only small one is number 9, Ace Sanders. I wonder if the Florida DBs are all going to argue who gets to guard him. And he's pretty quick. Yeah. DeMarco, the tight end in motion. Another 3rd down. And this time they're not going to get it. No gain. Duke Lemons in on the stop. And so out comes the field goal unit as Steve Spurrier wants to get something out of this opening drive. Spencer Lanning, his career long is 51. And this is going to be about a 49-yard attempt. Spencer Lanning from 49. Nice kick. They got it. So South Carolina sort of weathers that storm that Todd was talking about. Good answer. They get 3 on their opening march of the ball game. Lanning's field goal. Real Gators. University of Florida Gators in Gator Country, leading 7-3 on their home field. 9:40 remaining in the drive after the kickoff went out of bounds by Florida. South Carolina only had to march from their own 40 to get a 49-yard field goal. 29 yards. They went in 9 plays. It was a squib kick this time, taken on one hop at about the 18-yard line and only out to the 27, and a flag flies in too.
He's going to back Florida up a little bit longer, or further, I should say.
And there's the illegal block in the back. Matt Moore, a referee.
Block in the back. On the receiving team, number 89. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Florida in their off week revamped their offense and decided they're going to use a little bit of everybody at quarterback, including this guy, John Brantley.
Yeah, John Brantley, who's the starter, and they call him the quarterback. He's the thrower. Trey Burton is more of the single wing runner, and then the guy they unveiled last week, Jordan Reed, is kind of the triple threat. He's a tight end as a starter, but he's also a runner and thrower at quarterback. So we'll see all three tonight.
Brantley gets the first snap of the first throw, and it's complete out in the flat to Dix. Beg your pardon, Chris Rainey. And Rainey got 8.
And this is the other change. They went strictly to the no huddle and a fast tempo offense. Now they play with different speeds, but it's no huddle, and they're really trying to change their identity to this kind of offense.
This time on the ground, not much for Chris Rainey, got about a yard. Rainey missed 4 games to suspension. Then when the Georgia game rolled around, he had a monster game, doing just about everything. It helped to get that overtime win.
The key to running tempo offense is making a couple first downs. That's why this third down and short play is very important for Florida.
They'll throw for it, and in and out of the hands of Rainey. So he was involved in every play. Flag down. So not only a penalty on the return, but a penalty here on third down.
Prior to the snap, encroachment, number 82 of the offense. Number 82 lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, third down.
Omaris Hides, as you take a look at the offensive line of Gilbert, Johnson, Pouncey, Alapio, and Hurt. Rainey, Thompson, Moore, Burton, and Reed. There'll be changes, obviously, in all those skill spots by how many shifts we see and how many different quarterbacks we see. Right now, it's Burton and Brantley both in the backfield, but it's Brantley on the snap and the quick throw on the screen, and Rainey's going to go down after a pickup of only a yard. Nice job by the defense and Josh Dickerson of South Carolina.
And that's why that penalty was so critical. Again, if you want to run fast tempo offense and you want to put stress and duress on a defense, you've got to make some first down. The 5-yard penalty made it 3rd and 7, and they came up short on the little quick throw.
Chaz Henry, a Ray Guy semifinalist named this week, averaging over 48 yards a kick, set to punt away. And Ace Sanders, who Todd talked about earlier, the only smaller receiver, is back deep, and another flag.
Oh, my goodness. Let's clean it up.
It's going to be a long night at this rate.
Prior to the snap, ball start. Number 40 of the offense. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Brandon Hicks, second most penalties in the SEC, and that's their 3rd penalty already in the opening minutes of the ball game. So Chaz will back up a little bit deeper here, near his own end line now, or goal line, I should say. High kick. And he took Sanders right out of bounds as he made the catch, going out at the 35. 50-yard kick. Stephen Garcia. South Carolina's offense back on the field in a minute. South Carolina scored on their opening drive, got a field goal. They trail 7-3.
We should mention that the left tackle is Kyle Nunn, number 68. He's replacing Jarrell King, who has started the last 7 games, but he had a concussion last week, did not make the trip. Now, Nunn has played a lot, but his first start in 8 ball games.
Marcus Lattimore straight ahead up the middle, and a first down run. And that looked more like the Marcus Lattimore of a couple of weeks ago and most of the season.
And again, when South Carolina is got it going offensively, it starts with him and the running game. Then that sets up play action. And when you have to commit more bodies to stop the run, that leaves more one-on-one matchups outside with Alshon Jeffrey, who I think is unguardable with one guy over a consistent period of time. But it all starts with the running game and Marcus Lattimore.
There's the matchup of the two number ones up at the top of your screen. DeMarco again on the move and now sets in the backfield. And it's Garcia back to throw. He's going to go deep for Alshon Jeffrey. And it's intercepted by Janoris Jenkins. So number one in blue got the best of number one in white.
When you throw a fade or a takeoff route, you cannot throw the ball back to the inside. It has to be over the outside shoulder away from the defender. Even though Jeffrey has great leaping ability, the ball was thrown too far inside, and Jenkins was in perfect position to make a play on the ball. You must throw that ball away from the defender over the outside shoulder to give your guy the best chance to make a play.
That's his fourth interception of the season, and he continues to shine against the cream of the crop as far as wide receivers in the SEC because he did a pretty good job on A.J. Green and Julio Jones, and now he's got an interception in front of Alshon Jeffrey.
The previous play is under further review.
I'm sure what they're going to try to see is whether or not the ball ever touched the ground. To us, it looked like a heck of a play defensively.
Well, he was in perfect position. He timed his jump perfectly, and he did not allow the bigger receiver to muscle the ball away from him. He just was, you cannot play it any better than that. Now, did the ball hit the ground on the way down? It might have, is right.
I mean, a great job of trying to keep it tucked in that right elbow, but that one look did kind of look as though the point of the football might have hit the ground without him being in complete control.
Will Hill, or Ahmad Black, the safety, came over and actually hit both guys. I think they're going to overturn it.
I think
that
you're
ball
right.
hit the ground. That's a great look from our camera crew. That was a tremendous look.
They've given all those looks to Dan Davinsky, our replay official, who will relay his message to Matt Moore, the referee. So that could be a huge break, obviously, for South Carolina, and take away what would have been interception number 18 on the year by the Florida defense.
This secondary is so good with Florida, and they have such great ball skills. You cannot miss throws like that. You can't be careless throwing the football on this secondary because they will go get it. Particularly that guy, Janoris Jenkins. And that ball was too far inside, and it gave Jenkins a great play on the ball.
That would be his fourth if it stands as an interception of the year. Two other guys have 3 each, and Will Hill has 2. And he would have had another one, but that was on a 2-point conversion attempt. So all those guys battling for the interception lead in the secondary for the Gators.
Now, not only do they intercept it, but they also have averaged almost 28 yards per interception return. So when they catch it, they usually make something happen.
After review, the play is ruled incomplete. The ball is thrown to the 44-yard line. Second down, 10.
Well, I think they made the right call. The fans don't like it here, but South Carolina gets another chance as the call's reversed.
And Stephen Garcia has to really kind of catalog that in the back of his mind. If I'm going to go at this guy, he's got the ability to go against my #1 guy, and if I make a mistake with the throw, he's going to burn me on it. Now, I got away with it that time, but I've got to learn from that for the rest of this game.
Jenkins over there on the bench right now, readjusting his cleats. In the meantime, it's second down at 10. And Alshon Jeffrey will be lined up over on Moses Jenkins.
Moses Jenkins a little bigger, 6'2", 188. They told us he might play more tonight because of his size.
Comes a blitz off the corner. Garcia's got to get rid of it in a hurry. And he had to rush the throw on the pass to the middle to Lattimore. And that was Riggs who came flying, and he timed it just beautifully off the edge.
Riggs timed the blitz perfectly, and Justin Tratow, the defensive end, was there for the play on Lattimore, even if it's complete. It was a zone blitz, which means they blitzed from the one side and dropped defensive linemen on the other side, and Tratto was responsible for that throw to the back.
So now 3rd down and 10 for South Carolina. Trying to take advantage of a near miss on an interception by Florida and somehow keep their drive alive here with 7 minutes to go in the first quarter. 4 wide receivers, and Garcia is going to call timeout.
Well, and the reason he did was there's only one defensive lineman who was down in the stands. Everybody else was standing up for Florida. A very confusing look for Garcia.
That is their 2nd timeout of the first half. That will be a 30-second.
So 7-3 here. Let's find out what's going on elsewhere and check in with Reese Davis. Reese. So TCU not dominating the Aztecs, who have a pretty good football team this year. I think they're 7-3. Even worse about that loss. Here a couple of teams playing for the right to go to the Georgia Dome and play for the SEC championship. Garcia firing high and incomplete. And it was again Jeffrey out there and Jenkins on it.
Now, Jenkins is such a competitor. I mean, you can tell he is not afraid of the size difference. Watch him get body to body with Jeffrey, and they're in there pushing and shoving, and the ball a little bit high for Jeffrey, but there was definitely contact, and Jenkins is right there to mix it up with the bigger receiver.
Jenkins has had problems at times on his punt returns. He's back there right now, though, and Spencer Lanning to kick. Jenkins waits on it at the 8-yard line. Broke 1 tackle. And a second. Got out to about the 19-yard line. Coming right back to Gainesville. Not quite sure where I'm going home. We'll see you Tuesday night as Ohio State comes into the O-Dome to take on Billy Donovan's Gators, who won last night over UNC Wilmington. And hit immediately is Chris Rainey. Got about 2 out of it, though, as Swearinger in the secondary made the tackle.
What you saw right there was what they did against Georgia and Vanderbilt with Burton and Brantley. They tried to show Brantley as a quarterback, then shift him out quickly. Brantley again as a wide receiver. They're not in sync right now. And this is not shocking to me, because to go to this kind of an offense, it's hard to change completely like they're doing in a matter of a couple weeks. And that's what they're trying to do.
Started snap. False start. Offense, number 67. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
You know, they kind of fooled Georgia with it after the bye week, and they were able to make some things happen, and they had Dempson Rainey back, and then Vanderbilt, after about the first 14 plays of the game, it became a mismatch, and so they could pretty much do whatever they wanted to do.
John Halapio starting tonight instead of Maurice Hurt was the guy with the false start penalty. Rainey loses 2. Nice play. Antonio Allen and Akeem Auguste.
And right now, what you see with South Carolina is that when Brantley's not the quarterback, they're thinking run all the way. And whether it's Burton or whether it's going to be Reed at quarterback, they're thinking run, so let's crowd the line of scrimmage. And when Brantley's the quarterback, now they're going to think pass. And this is where the defensive ends, Matthews and Taylor, really have to kick in for their defense.
Dempson as a wide receiver now to the top of your screen as Brantley is set to throw. Down the middle, in and out of the hands of Carl Moore.
Again, why does South Carolina match up with Florida better than Arkansas? Ryan Mallett is an NFL caliber quarterback. They have NFL caliber passing philosophy and schemes. And South Carolina was not able to get a pass rush, and they weren't able to defend the run. And Arkansas and Mallett did whatever they wanted. This is not the same kind of passing game they're facing tonight.
Second straight 3 and out for the Gators. And Chaz Hendry will have to punt it again. High kick shorter this time. Ace Sanders with a fair catch call, and he bobbled it. South Carolina covered it.
See, I think he got bumped, though. He did bobble it and drop it, but he got bumped as he was waiting to get the ball. I think Will Hill, on his way past him, bumped into Ace Sanders, and that's why I think there's a penalty flag.
There's the fair catch. And might have gotten a foot on it. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Hill might have kicked it with his foot. Well, he got him in the knee a little bit on the way by.
kick catch interference. Number 10 of the kicking team, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Well, you talk about great field position out of kicking snafus so far. 3 special teams penalties against Florida. And again, it will cost him dearly with South Carolina getting the football right now in Florida territory. That'll make you run your hand through your hair if you're a coach.
But they do have the lead in the football game because of their special teams too. So I guess it's a wash a little bit right now.
Yeah. And the penalties, 40 yards worth already tonight for Florida. So South Carolina sets up shop at the Gator 46. They set up for the I backfield with DeMarco, the fullback. And the second man through is Lattimore. And he's getting nothing out of that. Justin Tratto and Brandon Andwine made the stop. And the 5 wins. Huge games for South Carolina, and in the losses, and he only had 30 yards, which was a season low last week in that loss to Arkansas.
Well, last week was a blowout. The loss to Kentucky, he was off to a great start, had over 200 yards of total offense in the first half, and then he got hurt, and so he didn't play the second half. And then the Auburn game, he was relatively ineffective in that game as well.
2nd and 10. Blitz is coming. Lattimore's trying to run by it, and he does. And he's got a first down before my Black put him down along with Will Hill in the secondary, but he rumbled for 14 on that one.
When you commit extra bodies to the line of scrimmage and try to get a run blitz, there's nobody left in the second level of the defense. Watch, as soon as he clears through there's no other defenders. And now it's just a straight run. So nice job by Lattimore just breaking some arm tackles, and when he got to the second level of the defense, there was no one there.
South Carolina trailing but driving with 4:20 remaining in the first quarter at the Gator 32-yard line. Garcia wants a quick throw and lofts it for Jeffrey, and Alshon's got it. He's got a first down. And that's just a jump ball out there, and he made a pretty nice rebound.
It's a jump ball, and it's intentionally thrown a little bit short to the backside shoulder. Watch the throw where Jeffrey stops and adjusts to the ball. Jenkins has no chance on that. It's such a quick throw, and he's doing everything he can to stay in position. And with a ball thrown in that spot, it's impossible to defend.
So the Gamecocks now at the Gator 20-yard line. First down.
I like the demeanor of South Carolina right now. They've weathered the storm.
Whoops. Another storm. Got the umbrella out just in time. Steve Spurrier won 122 games. Not necessarily always in this stadium, but for this university, which is a school record, including a national title. And, you know, inside that competitor, no matter how much he tries to downplay it, he remembers all those great years, and he knows that coming through the swamp to get to Atlanta would be a pretty cool feeling.
Oh, boy.
Garcia, plenty of time. Deep middle, nice catch going up to get it is Alshon Jeffrey in his first and goal. That one looked like it was going to be too high, but that's what he can do.
Well, when you're 6'4" to start with, and you got about a 35 to 40-inch vertical jump, as a quarterback, you can get away with a high throw every now and then. And he's obviously not afraid to go over the middle of the field as well. Big body, big target, big completion for South Carolina.
First and goal. Back to the ground. Lattimore, touchdown. Good looking South Carolina drive, but again, they didn't have to go that far due to the penalty on the special team. Marcus Lattimore, his 12th rushing touchdown of the year. Spencer Lanigan for the point after. Whoops, hit the left upright. Well, that might be costly later. But they do have the lead with 2:36 remaining in the first quarter. 36-yard march in 6 plays, and that young man does the honors from 7 yards out. Gamecocks in front.
Tremendous blocking on the touchdown. Watch the left guard. Garrett Chisholm's going to get a block. The center, T.J. Johnson's going to get on the linebacker, and Rokevius Watkins is going to come right down and crash on the nose tackle, Lawrence Marsh. They just opened up a gigantic hole, and Marcus Lattimore could walk right into the end zone. An excellent drive for South Carolina, most of it done on the ground.
So really the only damage Florida has done at all was on the opening kickoff of the ball game. A 100-yard return by Andre DeBose.
And no first downs. And again, remember we talked to Steve Adazio. So we've got to get first downs. If we want to do this tempo thing, we've got to get some first downs. 2 drives, 6 plays, 10 yards, no first downs.
This time high and short on the kick. Coming up at the 17. Gillislee trying to get to the near sidelines, went a long way sideways, and finally put down at the 31-yard line. Here it's Brantley off play action on first down, wanting to throw, and does, and completes it across midfield to Hines, and a 22-yard pickup.
Nice job picking up the pressure. South Carolina came with a blitz. Hines was a slot receiver and crossed right in front of Brantley for the nice catch.
There's the first down for the Gators. Now Burton is in the backfield, but Brantley is the guy getting ready to take the snap, and Rainey off the left side. Picked up about 5, maybe 6. Demario Jeffrey made the tackle.
When we were here a month ago to watch them play LSU, they looked pedestrian on offense. They had no explosiveness. And now with Rainey, and we haven't seen much of Demps yet, but those 2 speed guys make them a different offense.
Brantley wants a quick throw in the flat. It's almost intercepted, and had it been, Demario Jeffrey would have gone down the sideline about 57 yards for a touchdown, maybe.
That ball was thrown maybe a little too hot. You know, they were already on the left hash, and he throws this little swing pass, and it was thrown a little too hard for Rainey, and they're lucky that one wasn't picked off.
It brings up 3rd down and a long 4. It's been mostly John Brantley taking the snaps. This time he fires too far in front of his intended receiver, De'Ani Thompson, and it's 4th down.
I think the South Carolina defense looks a little different than the one we saw last week.
Wow, I guess. Huh?
They're flying around, you know, and they got embarrassed last week, both offensively and defensively. And sometimes that can be a good thing, especially when the next game is for all the marbles. And I think they have really come out as a different-looking football team tonight.
So already a couple of punts for Chaz Henry. Again, it's Sanders back at the 10-yard line. Florida's just going to catch it at about the 5-yard line. That's a perfect job by your punter to keep it up there. And then your punt coverage unit to get down there and down it right at the 5. Now take you back in a flashback. Tennessee and Florida from 01. Originally scheduled for the week of 9/11. It was played in December instead. Steve Spurrier's final game in the Swamp. Travis Stevens 226 and 2 touchdowns. And then Tennessee snuffed out a Gator 2-point conversion at the end of the game. And the Volunteers, Bill Fulmer won it 34-32. Last time that Steve coached on this field in those colors.
Yeah, I did that game. What an incredible football game.
Garcia in the shotgun at his own goal line. And he's going to keep it. But he does a nice job getting out and getting them some room, and it looks like a first down run of 10 before Ahmad Black got him down.
Good decision. You know, this isn't the fun and gun offense anymore with Spurrier. It's a spread offense, and that's a zone read play, and the quarterback reads the defensive end or the outside linebacker and decides to keep the football. Steve Spurrier has gone to that offense this year, and it's paid dividends. And he's got the right people, the quarterback, the tailback, and the wideout to make it work.
Now it's Lattimore up the middle again, and woo, Ahmad Black got his shoelace, or he might have been off for a bigger game.
Since Urban Meyer came to Florida in 2005, they have been one of the top 5 teams in the country every year stopping the run. This year, they're not as stout up front. Coming in tonight, 121 yards a game they've given up rushing. They're just not quite as physical up front as they've been in the past. And South Carolina exploiting that a little bit here in the first half.
And that 121 is 28th in the country coming into the weekend. Another first down for the Gamecocks, moving it from their own 5-yard line. Lattimore, again, the middle has been the good spot for him and a soft spot defensively as he got about 7 or 8 more. That might be the final play we'll have in quarter number 1, which has been an exciting one. Marcus Lattimore, 14 touchdowns as a freshman. Reggie Cobb has the SEC record of 20 back in '87. Pretty good names in there, huh?
Yeah, not bad. He's a special kid now, I'll tell you. A special player. He does not look like a freshman. He doesn't play like a freshman. And a big reason why South Carolina is playing for a championship.
End of 1. South Carolina on the road with a 2-point lead. Let's take a look at the current BCS standings brought to you by Discover. Oregon and Cal. As Reese told you, Oregon trailing early. Auburn didn't hurt themselves today with a big win over Georgia. TCU had to fight against San Diego State. Boise State won last night. And you see the rest of the list. Here it's a battle for the SEC East and a trip to Atlanta between South Carolina and Florida. Marcus Lattimore trying to bounce it outside, and Ahmad Black's not going to let him. Black, the leading tackler on this Florida team, was 77 coming in. He's another guy that plays bigger than his 5'9", 190-pounder.
All over the field, physical, not afraid to stick his nose in there. Right now, though, this game is playing out to the script that Steve Spurrier would want. They've got 80 yards rushing in the first quarter in one play. They only had 105 the whole game last week against Arkansas.
And they moved it from their own 5 out to the 35 and to another first down on 5 runs.
That's 23 plays now for South Carolina already in the game compared to 10 for Florida. And so everything right now is going exactly the way that guy wants it.
31st meeting between these two teams, but South Carolina has never won here in Florida. Off to a good start here, though, in the second quarter as they have dominated time of possession, the yardage total, and they lead by 2 on the scoreboard. First down at the 37. Garcia's got to get rid of it a little bit earlier than he wanted to, but he did complete it for 5 yards to the tight end Cunningham. And he had Jeremy Brown coming after him with a head of steam for the second time tonight.
Yeah, it was a nice job by Garcia recognizing the blitz. It was a play-action fake away from the blitz, but he got his eyes around quick enough to see it and get the ball out quickly to his tight end.
Second time they've brought Brown from that corner, one time from each side. But Garcia with the quick throw picked up 5, second and 5. Lattimore drilled immediately, and it was Lemons and Black.
Yeah, there's that little guy who likes to hit again, Ahmad Black. 5'9", 190. You mentioned over 70 tackles. Here he is right here. Watch him time this and come right down the line of scrimmage for a big hit on Lattimore.
Ooh, that was a big hit.
Yeah. When you see a guy's head snap back, there's some force behind that hit.
So let's see if that'll carry the Florida defense into this next third down. 3rd and 6. 3 wide out set for Garcia in the gun. Here comes Florida. Garcia lofts it too high, intended for Lattimore out of the backfield. And Lemons is back there in coverage.
Well, again, it was a zone pressure. They brought a secondary man on a blitz. That means the defensive end has to drop out. Pressure gets to Garcia, and Lemons in the correct position to play coverage instead of rushing the passer. And South Carolina has to punt.
Nice job by the 250-pound senior captain out of Westlake Village, Florida. That'll force Spencer Lanning to kick. You got to be careful with that guy back there. With Rainey in return formation, at least he can't block the punt, which he did twice against Vandy last week. And goes out of bounds at the 21-yard line. 12:19 remaining first half. South Carolina on the road continues to maintain a 9-7 lead. You hadn't settled into your easy chair for the opening kickoff. This is what you missed. Andre DeVos going 100 yards for the opening score of the ball game. South Carolina came back, got a field goal to make it 7-3, and then on a short field due to a penalty, they only had to go 46 yards before Marcus Lattimore scored from 7 yards out. They missed the extra point. It hit the left upright, so it's 9-7. There's the snap so far by quarterback.
There's the first one for Jordan Reed. He's in there now. And unlike Trey Burton, he can also throw the football. He was a quarterback in high school in New London, Connecticut, but he's been listed as the tight end. He's the starter at tight end. He still meets with the tight ends and not the quarterbacks, but he played extensively last week against Vanderbilt.
And here he goes doing his Cam Newton impression and goes for 14 yards on his first carry.
So you got to defend this guy a little bit differently. You can't just line up to stop the run like you do with Burton, and you can't just play pass only like you do against Brantley. This guy, you've got to be a little bit more honest and defend both.
Here comes a blitz. He's just going to try to find his way back to the line of scrimmage this time. He lost a yard. Antonio Allen brought him down. He's a big fella, 6'3", 240. Steve Adazio, the offensive coordinator.
You just don't know how many plays they have for this guy, though. I mean, you know, he's not been playing quarterback very much, even though he was in high school. So they've got a very limited package of plays for him when he's in there.
This time he hands it off to Jeff Demps. Demps works in there for about 4. Holly?
Well, guys, Jordan Reed doesn't even watch film or meet with the quarterbacks like you said, Todd, but even in pregame warmups, he's just a tight end. I didn't see him this whole pregame go over and actually be a quarterback. How hard would that be to not warm up and then all of a sudden, hey, you're in the game in front of everybody in the Swarm?
Yeah, that's bizarre. He threw his first career touchdown pass on his first attempt ever last week.
And he hadn't warmed up before the game to not give away the fact that he was going to play quarterback, and he threw a touchdown pass to De'Ani Thompson. Nice job by Melvin Ingram. Another loss on the play.
And see, that right there played right into South Carolina's hands. They took Reed out on 3rd down. They put Brantley in. South Carolina's defense immediately thought, forget the quarterback run. Now let's play pass defense. And they forced a punt. And again, you can't run tempo offense if you can't keep the ball and make first downs. And Florida is struggling right now on offense.
Chip Kelly has repeatedly said that for Oregon. Gus Malzahn told us when we did Auburn, it's that same approach.
Yeah.
You don't get first downs, you can't play the tempo game. Oh, they almost got to Henry's punt. And Sanders trying to clear everybody out of the way.
That's dead. I think it hit Ahmad Black in the back. It should be dead right around the 27-yard line.
Steve Spurrier's team with 10 minutes and 3 seconds remaining in the first half. They've not only held their own, they lead in the second quarter at the Swamp, 9-7. All right, Reese, keep us posted.
I got to tell you, that Dan Mullen's doing a great job at Mississippi State. Former offensive coordinator here in Florida when Tim Tebow was here, came with Urban. That's a solid football team he's got in Starkville this year.
Brian Maddox in the backfield with Garcia on first down. And Garcia's just going to follow Maddox for a bit and then break off and pick up 4 yards on the ground again.
I don't think he wanted to run that. I think he missed the handoff to Maddox. I think Maddox was maybe so excited he was in the game to get a carry that he was a little bit too quick getting to the spot, and Garcia had to run it instead of Maddox.
Well, that's what they're going to talk to Brian about on the sideline. You know, we're happy you're excited to play,
Yeah.
but you got to run the play we called.
Slow down and get the ball first.
Lattimore's back in there now. 2nd down and 6. Garcia wants to throw a screen. Lattimore's in front of his blockers, but that's all right. He does his own thing and picks up the first down.
Boy, did you see how quickly Lattimore got his eyes downfield? As soon as he caught that screen, he turned his eyes back inside. Watch as Lattimore comes across the formation. As soon as he gets him, watch him look his inside. See where his blockers are and where the defenders are coming from. And he decided the best course was to just go straight up the field.
He saw that the big eaters were actually not necessarily in front of him, and he just cut it up and shows the quickness that he had prior to that knee problem of a week ago. As Holly said, not wearing a sleeve or anything on that knee, and he's taken all the reps this week, and he's 100%. He looks like it. Garcia this time does run by design and got 2 or 3. Well, don't forget, exclusive unveiling of the new BCS standings every week. Reese and all the guys get together and break it down for you. Weekly BCS Countdown presented by Allstate tomorrow, 8:15 Eastern Time. Of course, ESPN, your new home for all 5 BCS games in January, culminating with a national championship on January 10th. Brad Nessler, Todd Blackledge, Holly Rowe, and our ESPN crew here at the Swamp in Gainesville, where South Carolina leads Florida 9-7 for the rights to go to Atlanta as the SEC East champ. Garcia, quick throw, got it to Jeffrey, and he's right at the first down marker. Janoris Jenkins draped all over him, but nice catch by Jeffrey, and those two help each other up and pat each other on the helmet. A lot of respect between those two.
See, that route is really difficult for a smaller guy because it's just like a guy in basketball boxing out for a rebound. He gets his big body between the ball and the defender, and you just can't go around him quick enough to make a play on the ball.
We'll bring out the change to have a look at this. As you can see how close we think he is, or isn't, to the first down.
I think he reached that ball over.
He did.
He is a man. Now, I mean, you talk about these 3 receivers in the SEC, A.J. Green and Julio Jones, and this guy. This guy is the thickest one of the 3.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Julio's a big physical guy. This guy's even bigger. A.J. Green is a little sleeker, but all 3 are tremendous receivers.
Yep. A.J. had a big game today for Georgia, albeit in a losing effort against Auburn.
I think Torrey Gurley's going to find himself getting open here a little bit.
Lattimore almost broke it. A.J. Jones, captain of the defense. You talk about Alshon Jeffrey. We saw what he did last week, and we've seen what he's done since that breakout game when he was a freshman against the Wildcats at Kentucky. But just some of the catches he's made this year when the coverage was pretty good. And spectacular catches to get in the end zone. A lot of one-handed grabs, and then the one that we saw a week ago against Arkansas. Watch this. Man, he is a man, indeed.
The thing I like about him is he just snatches the ball out of the air.
Lattimore, a little tougher struggle, but he got 3 more. And it's going to bring up 3rd down and short.
Now, there's a difference between receivers who let the ball come to them and catch it in their bodies and guys that go get the ball out of the air and get both hands on it most of the time. And when he does that, I mean, he's just so big and strong, it's hard to defend. If a guy lets the ball come to his body, you can get in there and rake it out or hit him in behind and knock the ball loose. But those guys that go snatch it are tough.
He came in 5th in the country in receiving yardage. He's over 1,000 already, and only 2 other Gamecocks ever did that. Sterling Sharp and Sidney Rice. That's good company as well. 3rd and 1. Blitz off the corner. The throws to Jeffrey. Made one man miss, and he dives for the first down. Jelani Jenkins knocked him off his feet. And the wacky ACC, you can say the same about the wacky SEC East this year, which normally you can't. These 2 teams are each 4-3, battling for the right to play in the conference title game. Garcia. Lattimore was out there, and he had his man beat. He just missed him.
He sure did. I mean, that's one of those plays you can only call maybe once, maybe twice a game. And you wait till you have it set up, and they had it. Lattimore comes out on the wheel route, and he beats his man right away. Jelani Jenkins is in coverage. No chance. But the ball slightly overthrown by Garcia.
And you saw the reaction of Steven Garcia.
And he's saying, why didn't you put your hands out? And Marcus is saying, why didn't you throw it to me?
I can't get my hands out 7 more feet than they already are. 9th play of the South Carolina drive. Draw play for Lattimore. Broke a couple of tackles, and he's still driving guys with him.
I'll tell you what, let's give credit to this South Carolina offensive line right now. Tight ends and fullbacks, I mean, they are controlling the line of scrimmage. They are just pushing this Florida defensive front around in the running game, and Lattimore, using excellent vision and tough running, is just charging forward. And they've had several 3rd down and short to medium yard situations tonight already.
You mentioned the offensive line. DeMarco's gotten some big blocks, too, from both the tight end and the fullback position. And Garcia loses a yard.
He lost a yard because the snap was a little high and hard, and Garcia didn't field it cleanly, and that disrupted the timing of the play. That's a wasted play. After a good momentum and a good drive, a wasted play on third down for South Carolina.
Jones is injured. A.J. Jones, one of the captains defensively, senior outside linebacker out of Tampa. And also helping Duke Lemons a little bit to the sideline. Might be something in his eye, and that's in this case, that's what it looks like.
It's Justin Tratto, 94. And they're both going to rush the passer and end up running into each other.
Ooh, did they ever. Nothing like meet me at the quarterback, but they weren't planning on that kind of meeting. Well, it was Tratto, I'm sorry, not Lemons, with something in his eye. Spencer Lanning's going to come in, try a field goal. He's missed an extra point tonight that hit the left upright. He had the same problem on a field goal last week when they lost to Arkansas. This will be a 47-yard attempt. He made his first one from 49. Trying to add to the South Carolina lead. He just likes long range, I guess. He doesn't like those extra points and stuff. 3 more for the Gamecocks with 4:37 remaining in the first half. A little over 4.5 minutes remaining in the first half. 12-7 right now. Time for tonight's trivia question. Steve Spurrier, the winningest coach in Florida history. I mentioned it earlier with 122 wins. Who's in second place on that list? Meanwhile, South Carolina went 43 yards in 11 plays to get Spencer Lanning's 47-yard field goal. Steve Spurrier with a 5-point lead with 4:37 left in the second.
18.5 minutes time of possession for South Carolina really dwarfs what Florida's done with the football.
Short kick down to the 12. Andre DeVos, who took the opening kickoff 100, doesn't get that many that time. A 14-yard return. So let's see what the Gators do offensively and who's going to do it at quarterback.
You know, again, I really applaud what Florida has tried to do in a very short period of time, but it is a huge undertaking. I mean, to go to a no-huddle, hurry-up offense and to do something even more radical to try to play 2 or 3 quarterbacks, I mean, that's insane. It's crazy what they're trying to do.
Play action and Greg Burton comes out of that backfield. One of the guys that plays quarterback catches a pass from John Brantley and pick up the 3.
I think what Urban Meyer saw, though, was when they lost the 3rd game in a 3-game losing streak and only scored 7 points against Mississippi State here on homecoming, he said, I'd seen enough. We can't continue to do this. We can't score against good defenses, good teams. We've got to do something drastic.
Brantley had to jump ball that, and then he got hit as he threw. He was trying to get it out in the flat to Rainey, and he got hammered by Travian Robertson from behind.
So this defensive line for South Carolina is really good. I mean, they can really rush the passer. They lead the SEC in sacks. That time, it was supposed to be a quick throw, and that's why the line didn't block very long, but the bad snap, Brantley wasn't able to get rid of it quickly.
Florida is 0 for 4 on 3rd down conversions so far tonight. Brantley pressured again in the pocket, and down he goes again in the pocket. Melvin Ingram's got him wrapped up, and Florida with another 3 and out. Their 3rd. Well, you talked about the time of possession. You saw the discrepancy in the number of plays, and now everything's collapsing on Florida.
And that's just a 4-man rush. That's just 4 guys being better than 5 guys on that particular play. And again, this is the team that leads the SEC in sacks coming into tonight with 32. Make that 33 now.
Henry's been the busiest Gator tonight as he set the punt again. He got close to his last one. This one is not a good kick off the side of his foot. It does take a Gator bounce, though, and rolls out of bounds at about the 32-yard line. A little bit earlier, we asked you tonight. Our trivia question was, Steve Spurrier is the winningest coach in Florida history with 122 wins. Who's second? A lot of you were going to guess Urban Meyer, I bet. Ray Graves had 70 wins. Coach Graves coached here 60 to 69, had a couple of 9-2 seasons and 1 year of 9-1-1. Urban Meyer is in third, by the way, with 63 wins as Marcus Lattimore goes for a couple.
You know, when I was down on the field before the game, it was interesting because a lot of the South Carolina coaches were all saying, as you take a look at the top coaches in Florida history, they were all saying, I hope the team that played Alabama, the South Carolina team, shows up rather than the one that showed up the last couple of weeks.
Right.
I think that's the team that we're seeing tonight.
Closer to it, for sure, than some of the other ones, especially last week. Lattimore again bounces off for a couple when it looked like he could have lost a yard.
You think about this team, they beat #1 Alabama, played a beautiful game. Then they went to Kentucky, and the first half was really good. They had a big lead, and then Lattimore got hurt, and they let a big lead slip away. They gave up a lot of passing yards to Mike Hartline, and they lost. Then they were okay against Vanderbilt. They had to struggle to beat Tennessee at home, and then they got blown out last week by Arkansas. So they have not played great football for about 3 weeks. Pretty good so far tonight.
3rd and 6. Garcia lofts it to Jeffrey, and he's got a first down, and a flag flies in as he and Janoris Jenkins were tangled up. And again, they ran a similar play in the first quarter. This time they pick up 14 yards.
And see, as long as Garcia puts the ball where he needs to, Jenkins can't guard Jeffrey on a play like that. If the ball's thrown too far inside, Jenkins has a chance. If it's thrown outside, he can't guard Jeffrey in that one-on-one matchup. Jeffrey's just too big, too strong, and jumps too high.
That is a battle that we expected to see all night, and we've seen it for 2 quarters.
I mean, you can't be in better position.
No.
#1 of the defense. That penalty is declined. First down.
First down on a 14-yard gain. Most people felt that this matchup in one-on-one fashion between corner and elite wide receiver is the best remaining one in the Southeastern Conference this year. This one tonight, now that some of the other games are already concluded. And they're having a hard time getting the sticks in the right spots. First down marker still not set. And so the umpire is going to hold him up here. The ball's right at midfield. First down, South Carolina. Jeffrey switches out now and goes back up to the top of the screen. Blitz. Lattimore drilled, and his helmet came off. The play should be dead right now. Hold him up. Jenkins, the middle linebacker, made the stop.
You know, we talked about this offensive line for South Carolina. I think a big key tonight is that guy number 55 playing, T.J. Johnson. He went out of the game last week with a knee sprain, and there was question whether he'd be able to play tonight. But he came back, practiced, and the fact that he's in there, because he's kind of the quarterback of that offensive line, makes all the protection calls. That's a huge deal for South Carolina tonight, having him at the ballgame.
Lattimore. And again, Florida does a nice job stretching it out. Trato made the tackle.
Well, T.J. Johnson last week, when he hurt that knee, Todd, he was in so much pain on the sideline. It's just crazy that he's able to play at this level this week. They said they did an interesting tape job on that knee. They kind of taped it to the opposite side to give him some support. But think of the center in a knee bend, how sore and painful that's got to be, bending your knee and powering off it like he is. Terrific job by him.
And his backup, Ronald Patrick, is a true freshman. So having your bigger guy out there and your experienced guy, a huge bonus.
3rd down, 7. Garcia throws on the run, and he tucked it in there, complete to Torrey Gurley. Steve Spurrier says, come on, we've only got 1 timeout. Let's get going. They got 11 yards on 3rd and 7.
Really a nice job by Garcia extending the play. He wanted to throw quickly right over the middle. It wasn't there, and he rolled out and found somebody open because he kept the play alive.
Ray Lanning has hit long field goals tonight. They got a chance to get more points here before halftime if they hustle. Low snap. Garcia flushed again through as he was going down.
They're going to call him down as a sack.
Jelani Jenkins got him from behind. He was trying desperately to get rid of that ball, but his knee's down before the ball comes out of his hand. And we're down to 15 seconds.
Timeout, South Carolina. That is their last timeout of the first half.
Reminder, Reese and the guys will be along tomorrow to break down the VCS standings for you. ESPN Weekly VCS Countdown presented by Allstate, 8:15 Eastern Time tomorrow. Of course, ESPN, your home for all the VCS games and the national championship coming up on January 10th.
That was a huge play by the Florida defense right there, because as much as this game has felt like South Carolina has dominated, which they have, they've dominated the clock, they've dominated yardage, Florida has looked out of sync. It's a one-possession, one-score game. And so Florida is right in the ballgame, even though they feel like they've been dominated, and that sack took them out of field goal range right now.
South Carolina, no turnovers, no penalties, almost 22 minutes in time of possession. But right now, only 15 seconds more to work. Garcia, screen pass to Lattimore. Lattimore in the open field, trying to get to the sideline now. Got a first down, and he got out of bounds.
What an unbelievable effort by Lattimore. And the presence to know, hey, we have no timeouts. I've got to run. I've got to get to the sideline to save a chance to score right before halftime.
20 more yards to get him in field goal range. And look at the weaving job by the freshman and the stiff arm there, and then the presence of mind to not only get the first, get out of bounds, and give this guy another chance. He's hit from 49 and 47. This one is going to be from 40. Maybe 41. From the right hash. Trying to give South Carolina an all-important 3 more points. And the kick is up, and it is right down the middle again. That was a big kick and a huge play by a freshman in a big, big game. Florida on their home field trailing South Carolina 15-7 in a place where the Gamecocks have never won. Holly Rowe.
Coach, what do you like about your freshman's awareness to get out of bounds there with 15 seconds left?
Well, we're in our last timeout, so we told him to get out. And he's a smart kid anyway. But our defense is playing very well right now. Hopefully we can keep this up.
How has your ability to run the ball in this first half really changed the course of the game?
Well, we have to just keep trying, and they've stuffed us some, but Marcus, he can break some tackles, as you know. So we obviously, to win, got to keep running and mix a few passes in, too.
Are you used to this side of the field yet, Coach?
I don't know. Ask me later.
Well, with the backdrop of all the orange and blue, he's still a man in black tonight. 15-7 is our halftime score. Time for the Wendy's halftime report. Reese, Mark, and Lou standing by. In Gator country, but right now the Gamecocks have the advantage. As Steve Spurrier told Holly he's not sure if he's used to that sideline or not, but he's halfway to becoming the first coach in the SEC East to take 2 different teams to the SEC title game, and he did it, or will do it, as the first South Carolina coach ever to win in Gainesville as well. South Carolina looking for their first trip to the title game. And they did it with the guys that you said had to play well doing so in the first halftime.
Yeah, Garcia, good decisions with the football playing under control. Lattimore and Jeffrey proving that they're 2 of the best, not just in the conference, but in the country. And then defensively, changing the line of scrimmage, neutralizing what Florida wanted to do. The 3 quarterbacks was no problem for South Carolina in that first half. And the key stat there, only 18 offensive plays for Florida. They said they wanted to run 100. They better hope they can get to 50 here before this game's done.
That's 2.8 yards of play and only 2 plays over 10 yards. And Florida's got to kick it away to South Carolina to open the second half as well. Bryce Sherman will take the kick from the 10-yard line. And Sherman got out across the 25 to about the 28-yard line. That's where South Carolina will go to work. Amazingly enough, it's officially not a 99-yard kickoff return for Florida to open up the ball game. That's about all they did. And you said it's all about weather and the storm, especially in a place that's got 90,000 people decked out in blue. And South Carolina did a great job of it.
They really did. And Steve Spurrier, I mean, you could just tell. I could tell before the game. He really had his game face on, even more than normal. And they did weather that storm. And his quarterback weathered the storm. And right now, the question is now for Florida's defense, can they neutralize Marcus Lattimore in the running game? If they can't one-dimensionalize this offense, they won't beat South Carolina.
And here's Garcia keeping this time, and no gain. Ahmad Black, who's been involved in a lot of tackles, involved in another. Now here's the guys that played very, very well. Not quite the numbers maybe of the Alabama game, but pretty darn close to it. And remember, they didn't have any turnovers, no penalties, 22 minutes plus of possession time. They missed an extra point. Virtually nothing else went wrong.
And balance, 101 yards rushing, 108 yards passing. They kept the Florida defense on their heels the entire first half.
Second down and 9. Garcia under center, at least temporarily. 3 wide receivers for him at the 29-yard line. A stretch play to Lattimore, and Florida's waiting for him. Got a yard, that's it.
That's a good sign for Florida. Defensively, I think the formula is very simple for them. They have to stop that guy. They have to stop Lattimore and try to put the game into Stephen Garcia's hands here in the second half. Because what Stephen Garcia has shown throughout his career is sometimes he tries to do a little bit too much. And when he tries to do too much, that's when he makes mistakes with the football.
Middle linebacker Jenkins went out, shaken up. Jonathan Bostic comes in defensively for Florida. You always want to get a stop on the first third down of the third quarter. Can Florida do it? Garcia running for his life. But he got it complete to D.L. Moore. First down, South Carolina. And Garcia still getting up.
Second time in the game we've seen him do that. Extend the play by scrambling, but never taking his eyes off it downfield, and takes a hit right upside the jaw at the end of the play by Cody Riggs. That could have very easily been a penalty on Riggs for hitting the quarterback up around the face mask. But what a nice job by Garcia maintaining his vision downfield and making the key throw on third down.
You never say Garcia's not a tough customer, that's for sure. Just playing for Steve Spurrier at quarterback, that takes a lot.
Yeah, that takes leather skin, you know, and then the rest of you've got to be tough too.
And he did take a big shot, but a 19-yard completion, and now they go back to the ground game, and Marcus Lattimore got 2 or 3.
Speaking of tough quarterbacks, got a chance to see Danny Werfel down on the field before the game, and I was talking to Steve Spurrier when he came out and gave his old coach a big hug, and now that was a tough customer too.
Yeah.
Never forget that game in Tallahassee when Florida played them in their national championship year, and he got drilled the entire game. They had a chance to come back and play him in the Sugar Bowl and win for the national championship, the first ever for Florida.
Danny now working with charities in his ministry in Atlanta. Doing a great job at that as well. And it's Garcia on the keep.
Guide down also.
That's a holding call against South Carolina. First penalty against the Gamecocks. So just when they had moved it in to Florida territory, they'll move it back out. Matt Moore with the call.
Holding on the offense, number 87. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
Justice Cunningham, the tight end, guilty party on the holding call. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series in Phoenix this weekend. It's on ESPN tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Just 2 races to go, and hey, guess who's in front now? Not Jimmy Johnson anymore. Denny Hamlin has got the lead now. NASCAR Countdown kicks off the coverage at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. So back on their own end of the field, South Carolina at the 43-yard line. They've run 22 of the last 25 plays from scrimmage in this football game. Garcia going to run for what he can, and he gets back a good part of the penalty.
Nice play. Now we've seen Garcia run it 3 times already here to start the second half. We saw him in the Auburn game. 2 critical fumbles in the fourth quarter when he was running and trying to gain extra yardage. He's got to be smart running the football, know when to get down, and by all means protect the football.
Dad looking on a 3rd and 10 for his son. just on the South Carolina side of midfield. Florida looks like they might bring some heat. They do. He throws it in the middle, complete, and it's another first down throw on 3rd and long. This time to Torrey Gurley.
Boy, Garcia, I mean, you know, when a quarterback is relaxed, one of the things you notice is his vision is wide. So he's going to see Janoris Jenkins come on the blitz. He's going to see it and watch how he just drifts away from it enough to make the throw. He gives himself just that much extra time to get the football to Gurley for a first down.
South Carolina came in great on 3rd down in the SEC. They're 7 of 11 right now here in the 3rd quarter. And that was another big one on the throw from Garcia down to the 39-yard line. Lattimore on a counter. Big gainer for Marcus. He's all the way to the 21-yard line before he's run down by Will Hill. 18 more yards for Lattimore. And that puts him over 100. School record for a freshman running back is he is passed now Thomas Dendy in 1982. Dendy had 8:48. Marcus right now 8:58.
South Carolina in their history has never had a runner run for 1,000 yards and a receiver in the same season. Jeffrey's already there, and Mr. Lattimore is getting close.
Goes back as the tailback in the eye and bobbled it a little bit, and here he goes off to the races, and he's headed to the end zone. Touchdown, South Carolina. 21 more for number 21. His 13th rushing touchdown of the year, and he pads the Gamecock lead.
Great block by Kyle Nunn and the fullback DeMarco, and then outside D.L. Harris, or D.L. Moore, the wide receiver. Again, on both Lattimore's touchdown runs, outstanding blocking at the point of attack. That time the tackle and the fullback clearing the way.
Spencer Lanning, this time the extra points right down the middle. What an opening drive. Somebody asked me the other day, is there a true freshman in the country that means more to his team's success than this guy? I said no.
He's special.
He is.
I mean, he's got a maturity about him and a toughness about him that you just don't see from many kids right out of high school.
Line drive kick taken at the 15. And DeBose. And look out, he might have another one. He gets it out to midfield into the 49, in fact, of South Carolina. And here on the first pass, Brantley might catch his own ball that was tipped up in the air.
He should have knocked it down, though. I mean, why catch it when you're falling down and lose yardage?
I think he was thinking that the Gamecock underneath him maybe would get his hands on it instead. Here's another look. And it's way up in the air, and everybody's trying to find it. You're right, he could have knocked it down. He was getting undercut by Cliff Matthews a little bit.
They're having trouble enough going forward to not go backwards and help him out.
This might be the best catch of the night for Florida, though. Brantley flushed out of the pocket. Throws incomplete. Hakeem Auguste knocked it away from Deonte Thompson. Florida has run 4 plays in South Carolina territory tonight.
Well, he wanted to go down the field. Burton was the underneath receiver, and Brantley kind of got locked in on the deeper guy, and another incompletion for the Gators.
At 22-7, you wonder how many times they can even do the change up at quarterback when this is the guy that gives them the best chance as a passer. But he had it tipped again. And that was Devin Taylor, I think, back in coverage, the defensive end. And now the Bluebirds are out.
Just absolutely no rhythm whatsoever for the Florida offense the entire game. They can't make first downs. They can't convert on third down. And Chase Henry is their most utilized offensive guy right now, punting the football.
He has been busy. And this one going to bounce dead at the 9-yard line. 49-yard kick. 8:55 remaining third quarter. South Carolina with a 22-7 lead. The football. On 3rd and 8, Stephen Garcia bought himself some time, took a shot in the chops, but he delivered a 19-yard strike on that play to get him a first down. Marcus Lattimore headed up the middle, but great vision to cut it outside to pick up a first down. And then number 21 went 21 on a very similar play to the end zone. The cap off a 72-yard march in 9 plays, just under 5 minutes, 22-7, South Carolina. South Carolina first down just inside its own 10-yard line. Lattimore. And maybe got 2 out of it. Let's check in with Holly.
Well, guys, Urban Meyer of Florida told me at the half that their big problem right now is that they are blitzing Jonathan Brantley so much. He's just got to do a better job of moving his feet. And the other 2 quarterbacks, they're not able to throw it at all because South Carolina is playing zero coverage when they're in the game, meaning they're not keeping a safety back. They're walking him up, committing him to the run game. And he said, we've just got to make a commitment to throwing the ball. They tried to on that last series, as you could see, but Brantley wasn't able to move his feet and get out of the way of that ferocious South Carolina blitz.
And he had one of his own passes that he caught on a tip ball, and then Devin Taylor tipped the other one downfield. Meanwhile, Garcia has been very efficient for South Carolina, and he continues to be so. And it's Ace Sanders with another first down.
You know, one of the goals of the Florida offense, this new offense, is to create fatigue on the opposing defense. Well, when they go 3 and out and can't stay on the field, it has the opposite effect because the fatigue is with their defense.
Right.
Because you got South Carolina going on scoring drives and running the ball and taking wind out of their sails, and they go and get a quick rest and have to come right back on the field.
And Florida has had 5 3-and-outs. And look at the time of possession. Sometimes that's not a telling tale, but it is tonight.
It sure is. 54 plays to 21.
South Carolina might be the team that ends up with 100 plays.
Thinking the same thing.
And it's Lattimore almost breaking it again. Bostic saved a big game. It's 22-7. Ledge, this is starting to have that look from Marcus Lattimore of the Georgia game and the Alabama game, where you can just ride him and ride him and ride him. Florida knows that. They're waiting for him that time. No gain. You're talking about a guy that can actually carry it 37 times in a ball game, which he has done this year.
37 times against Georgia. 29 times for his season high 184 yards against Tennessee. He may pass both of those marks tonight.
He's got 5 runs of 10 or more tonight so far. Second down and 10. As for Stephen Garcia, he has hit his last 6 passes. His last 7 passes. Not going to be a first down, though, to Torrey Gurley.
Pass complete to number 81.
The 41-yard line. Third down coming up.
And we talk so much about Steve Spurrier being from Florida and a former quarterback in Florida. That's G.A. Mangus, the quarterback coach. He was a quarterback here in Florida also. 1988 to 1991. Helping out with the play calling. It's obviously Steve Spurrier still has the final say in all play calls, but J.A. Mangus has been a lot more active in the play calling with Spurrier ever since the Kentucky game.
Gamecocks have a third down and 6. Garcia again flushed out of the pocket on a third down. This time, no place to go.
That's the right decision. Throw it away. You've made good decisions all night. Sometimes the defense wins, and punting the football, especially with a 15-point lead, is not a bad thing at all. And a good stop for the Gator defense. A tired Gator defense.
You bet. So Spencer Lanning, a busy kicker. The kicker and the punter. Norris Jenkins back deep. Jenkins camp centered at the 14. Got a block He's not going to get away from the second wave at about the 20-yard line. 5:10 remaining third quarter. South Carolina sitting on a 22-7 advantage on ESPN. South Carolina's part of that too. They take on number 2 Michigan State. So these two teams battling. The basketball teams will battle a little bit later in the week. Right now, Florida's battling themselves as much as South Carolina. Brantley got a wide open man this time, and Frankie Hammond.
Florida needs some guys to step up and make some plays. I mean, Demps and Rainey, I thought they were the difference in the team. They've been non-factors tonight. They've only had one play of over 20 yards before right there, and they've just got to have some guys who step up and make some plays.
Moody in the backfield, and he'll get the handoff from Brantley. Stood up as he picked up maybe 2 yards. That first down by Florida on the last play. Todd, that was the first down they've had since 12 minutes was left in the second quarter. Of course, they haven't had the ball. Everything's a 3 and out.
Yeah.
What's their longest drive tonight as far as time of possession?
2 minutes and 18 seconds. You got Rainey on the sideline. He's got the great speed, and Jeff Demps has played 2 plays tonight. I know he's got the foot injury, but I thought he was good to go tonight, at least for 20 plays.
Brantley again connects. This time to Bose, who has the only touchdown for Florida. Pickup of 7 more. So getting a little rhythm just on this drive in their passing game. Burton comes in to the backfield to join Brantley. And he'll take this snap. And a quarterback draw all the way. South Carolina knows it.
Yeah. I mean, they're locked into it. I mean, when Burton's in, they're not going to throw. So you either have to change up. You either have to throw a curveball. He either has to throw it. They either have to throw the ball to Brantley when he's out as a wideout. You got to do something that they're not clued into.
Now they bring in Jordan Reed on a 4th down. So this will be the 3rd guy taking a snap on this series. Need about a yard and a half.
And he's at least a run-pass option and a bigger physical runner.
And he goes straight ahead, but I don't know. I don't think so. South Carolina doesn't think so. And our line judge, his foot doesn't think so. South Carolina appears they're taking over on downs. They might bring the chains out. No, they're not even going to have to. Matt Moore says first down, South Carolina. Trying a little bit of everything, and somewhat like it was a month ago, nothing's working for Florida.
Well, with Reed, you have a bigger, stronger runner, but if you can't knock him off the line of scrimmage, and if you get no push up front, even a big physical guy like Reed has trouble making a first down.
You see the frustration on the sideline of the Florida head coach.
South Carolina has owned the line of scrimmage tonight on both sides of the ball.
Back to Marcus Lattimore. Picked up a couple. Jelani Jenkins, who's back in there, has been in and out of the lineup. The middle linebacker made the tackle. Well, the clock now is a fan of South Carolina as well, as we're under 3 minutes in the 3rd quarter. They get some more points out of this drive. It's going to be a long, long 4th quarter for the Gators. Not only that, but South Carolina's bleeding that clock for all it's worth before they come up to the line. Lattimore puts his hands on his blockers' backs and goes forward for about a yard shy of the first down. Picked up 7 more, though. He's starting to rack up some numbers now.
We can't say enough about this offensive line and Patrick DeMarco. Whether he lines up as a tight end or a fullback, he's usually leading the play. They are really owning the line of scrimmage.
We talked about the 37-carry game. I'm not so sure we're not going to see a 40-carry game by number 21. 30 for 150 right now. Whoa, wide snap. Garcia, he's not going to get there.
It's the second time we've seen that happen to South Carolina. Kind of a wasted play because of a bad snap. It disrupts the timing. This was going to be a handoff to Lattimore, but because Garcia didn't feel comfortable with the snap, he had to keep the football. And they come up short.
They're about 3 yards short. Rob Black is down for Florida. He's made a lot of tackles tonight. And he's limping around back there. Probably just dead tired as well. That Florida defense has seemingly been out there all night. Meanwhile, a decision here coming up for South Carolina. Ahmad Black, I guess he has made a lot of tackles. We're getting 15 is what we have right now for him.
Offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. 4th down.
So talk about bleeding the clock in between plays. Bleeded all the way down on a 4th down. And it appears to be a punting situation for South Carolina, 4th and long.
And again, this is Steve Spurrier realizing what the strength of my team is tonight. My defense has totally throttled this Florida offense. So even though we're on their side of the 50, we'll just go ahead and punt the football, try to pin them deep, and let our defense continue to hold the ground.
Todd said earlier, a 2-possession game, and it would take a perfect 2 possessions for Florida to win this thing right now. With a quarter to go. Flags down.
Another delay game, I think.
Flag on the play.
You know what? South Carolina's done this twice. They've lined up Alshon Jeffrey.
Delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Previous spot. Remains 4th down.
2 times they've had Alshon Jeffrey as the outside guy, like the gunner, just to see if Florida was going to cover him or not. And then when they had a guy out there on him, he runs off and somebody else runs on the field to make the play. So they're just trying to see. The old ball coach got a little trick up his sleeve if they don't cover number 1.
Now Spencer Lanning kicks straight away. Answers at the 2, and it made it to the end zone. So 43 seconds left in the 3rd quarter as Florida gets the football back. Chris Berman and the guys will have a lot of footballs flying around on ESPN's 2-hour Sunday NFL pregame show tomorrow. You get all the news, the latest updates from stadiums around the league, right up until kickoff. Sunday NFL Countdown is presented by IBM. Tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time with Boomer and the guys. Steven Garcia, no mistakes made tonight. Marcus Lattimore, another huge night for the sensational freshman who's closing in on a 1,000-yard season in this particular game, as a matter of fact.
Well, Jeff Demps on the field. Again, only 2 plays prior to this play. I think Demps and Rainey have to become a factor in this game if Florida wants to have a chance.
Here he's seeing his quarterback have another pass batted down to the line of scrimmage. This one by Devin Taylor. So that's 2. Taylor's had 1 at the line of scrimmage and 1 dropping back in coverage, basically as an outside linebacker.
Well, he's 6'7", 250 pounds. And he's got a huge wingspan. So even when he can't get to the quarterback for a sack, he's going to get his hands in the passing lane.
And of course, against Tennessee, got his hands in the passing lane and took it to the end zone the other way on an interception. Brantley tipped and intercepted. South Carolina's got it back, and it's Stephon Gilmore. And the Gamecocks with a football back with less than a half minute to go in the 3rd quarter. And all is not well in Gatorland right now.
Well, back-to-back tip passes. One by South Carolina, this one by his own guy. The intended receiver, Carl Moore, tips the ball up in the air. And South Carolina has been close to 3 or 4 interceptions tonight. They finally come up with 1. And only for them, their 6th interception of the entire season.
And the 2nd for that young man, who's played a little bit of everything, including at some points a Wildcat type quarterback. There he knew what to do with it after he intercepted it. He got it back to the 28-yard line. And the offense back to work. Probably number 21 next. Here's Lattimore. Cuts outside. Got some room. He's got almost 20 more before they can bring him down.
Again, watch Patrick Patrick DeMarco on the replay, number 47, leading the play. I mean, this is old school hard-nosed football. Fullback I formation. He knocks the end guy out of the way and opens up a lot of green grass for a great runner. And then you got a wide receiver, Jason Barnes, blocking downfield. And this team feels it right now.
Do they ever? They're huddled around their old ball coach, who probably likes that sideline right about now. They're 15 minutes away from a trip to Atlanta. The SEC on ESPN. In this case, the SEC East title on the line on ESPN in the next 15 minutes. There's the scoring by quarters. South Carolina with a 22-7 lead as we head into the fourth and final stanza. And that guy is 15 minutes away from becoming a coach that could take two teams from the SEC East to the SEC championship game. Of course, he did it when he was here at Florida. South Carolina's never won in Florida. Urban Meyer has lost one game in November in his career at Florida. It was to Steve Spurrier. Marcus Lattimore on his 32nd carry of the night.
21, Marcus Lattimore.
And up to 162 yards on the night and 922 on the season.
What a luxury to have a running back that you can ride down the home stretch like this and just keep feeding him the football. And he just keeps punishing a defense. I mean, it inspires an offensive line. It inspires a whole team. Here we go, crazy formation.
We got a bunch right there and an empty backfield. Garcia out to Lattimore, but his knee was down. So they tried to get a convoy in front of him.
Yeah, they're going to respot this. They got the wrong spot right there, the line judge. But I think they know.
Or not. I thought that's what Urban Meyer's halfway down the field right now, trying to let them know that he was down right there.
He never even caught it.
Oh, he didn't catch it. Okay.
But was it a lateral? If it was a lateral, then, well, they'll figure it.
At any rate, it's 3rd and goal. Now a more normal setup with 4 wide receivers, and Garcia is going to go on a quarterback draw, and he is in. Touchdown.
And Marcus Lattimore, who's been the workhorse, got the key block.
Garcia from 8 yards out, his 5th rushing touchdown of the year.
You want a guy who can do it all for you? Watch Marcus Lattimore with the great block on Edwards right there in the middle of the play, and Garcia right behind him to the end zone.
And then a little woofing from Gilmore at the end. The extra point is good. South Carolina now 13 and a half minutes away from heading to Atlanta. This time on the ground again. This time the quarterback with his tailback leading the way. And Dad says, that's my boy. South Carolina looking for its 3rd win against a ranked opponent this year, including at the time top-ranked Alabama. And now they've got number 22 Florida in a 22-point hole. And the way Florida has played, it's going to be awfully hard for them to find a way to come back and win this game. Kickoff taken at the 19-yard line. Ronald Powell. Powell, the freshman, gets out to the 40-yard line.
Down 2-point Duck lead.
Brantley back to throw. He's going to have to take off with it. And got 3 yards. If you're wondering how long it's been since Florida scored,
Brantley carries.
about 46 and a half minutes, I think, somewhere in there. They scored in the first 12 seconds of the ball game. They haven't scored since, and they need a lot of scores now with 13 and change remaining in the football game. Here's a quick opening draw to Rainey, and Rainey, look out. He didn't get the corner, but there's too many Gamecocks there. He does get a nice gain, one of the biggest gains of the night. In fact, it is the biggest gain of the night, 25 yards for Florida.
That's what had come back to this offense the last 2 weeks before tonight. They'd had 10 plays of 20-plus yards against Georgia and Vanderbilt, but they have been very few and far between tonight.
Brantley set to throw on 1st down, and he's got a man wide open out on the flat, and it's Burton. And Burton hurdles one defender and then gets cut down, but he got a first down. Florida's got its deepest penetration of the Knights.
Well, there's got to be a sense of urgency. I know they're a hurry-up, no-huddle now. They got to keep that going. Nice athletic play by Burton. They're in scoring territory, and they've got to think about scoring quickly and often.
Rainey and Burton flanking Brantley. Another first down. Brantley fires, almost picked off by C.C. Whitlock, who had his hands on it at the goal line.
Really an overthrown ball. Really no pressure on Brantley this time. That ball just sailed on him. And very lucky Whitlock didn't make the play.
Jordan Reed comes in. Brantley goes out.
Again, different than Burton because he can throw the football.
No, he's not going to get a chance to. He is stood up by Antonio Allen, the outside linebacker, and a loss of 4. Take a look at the red zone brought to you by Verizon. Florida this year. And their wins, they've been great. And their losses, not very good at all. In this case, they just went from deeper in the red zone to right back where it starts at the 20-yard line. Brantley back in and back throwing high. Again, Carl Moore, the intended receiver.
Now, part of this, I got to be honest with you, as a former quarterback, and the fans are booing John Brantley for a couple overthrows, it's hard to be in a rhythm as a passer when you're in the game, out of the game, on the sideline, on the field, out of wide receiver, off the field. I mean, it's a difficult thing that John Brantley, the situation that he's in right now, he's a passer. And, this is really tough.
Florida hasn't converted a third down all night.
What for?
And it's Devin Taylor. I'm just thinking, I looked over at the Texas score tonight. Somebody go back and find out the last time that Texas and Florida in a fourth quarter hadn't scored an offensive touchdown. Florida's got one with kickoff return, but not by getting in the end zone any other way. And they're down 29-7. 29-7, 11:40 remaining. Our college football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels. Brad Nessler, Todd Blackledge, Holly Rowe. And right now, South Carolina in control. And it appears heading to Atlanta to play Auburn for the second time this year. And let's go down to Holly.
Well, I'm with the gentleman, Danny Werfel, who many say was the last quarterback Steve Spurrier truly liked. But this is the first time you've seen Coach Spurrier here in the Swamp coaching for someone else. What was that like for you?
Yeah, I'm used to him being on this sideline wearing orange and blue. That's what I'm used to. So it's very awkward to see him over there. But he's certainly done a great job of getting his guys ready to play tonight, and they're being very effective. You
had a warm embrace with him and a chat before the game. What did you guys say?
Actually, he asked me if I exercised this morning. You know, he's always wanting to make sure his guys are in shape, eating healthy. So no, we just visited, and it's great to be around him.
What's something about Coach Spurrier that helped you as a young man be the guy you are today?
Well, I mean, he was the ultimate coach. I mean, he goes by the old ball coach, and he taught you how to be precise but also be flexible. And on the field, we had so many great memories on this one and many others. We watched some of us guys last night, the Sugar Bowl, when we won the national championship. And so we share so many great memories, and it's great to still be friends.
I know your heart is Gator blue, but would it be a little bit cool to see the old ball coach win one here for the first time in history?
Well, you are right. I am blue, and this is a hard night for us Gators unless something strange happens. But on the other hand, it's great to see him do something great over there, and I do love him, and to see him do well is very exciting.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Howard.
One of 3 Florida quarterbacks to win the Heisman Trophy, including Tim Tebow and, of course, Steve Spurrier and Danny. Todd, you were part of that down there before the game.
Yeah, it's Danny's right. I mean, that's the first thing Steve asked him. Did you work out? And Danny was right on time. Yeah, I rode the bike and I played tennis, and I had a really good workout, Coach.
You know, Steve's been asked about this so much over the course of years. Of course, it's been 9 years since he was here, and he tried to explain that to us. And you know, he said, we don't want to make a big deal about it. And I said, well, Coach, we're going to, because that's our job. Well, I know, Bradley, I know you got to do that. But, you know, he said, when I'm all done, I'm always going to be a Gator, and I'm always going to bleed, you know, orange and blue. But I've been at South Carolina now for 6 years, and we never done anything this special. So what is going to happen is, if indeed this holds, and right now you just look at Florida and go, I don't see how they can possibly get back in the ball game. But it is going to be special, and it's going to be one of those deals, and I think it will be a lot different than Nick Saban. You know, Nick won it CC championship at LSU, and then he subsequently went to the pros, and then he came back and went to Alabama. But there's something about Steve having been, this is his alma mater, this is his home field, that's his Heisman Trophy, and then the Ring of Honor and everything. So it is kind of a cool deal when it's going to happen for him.
It is, and you know what? Even though he told us he doesn't want his guys talking about how big it is, he knows it is. He just wanted his guys to play loose and play with poise. And so he didn't want them to put too much pressure on themselves about how big of a game it is. But everybody knows how big of a game it was for him and for everybody in South Carolina.
And South Carolina still fired up, even on their punt coverage. They get down there. No return for Florida. Will return with 9:10 to go. That Heisman Trophy, the Ring of Honor, and now maybe as a Gamecock going to Atlanta as the head ball coach. 9:10 remaining. 29-7, South Carolina. Searching for their 7th win of the year. And a trip to Atlanta. John Brantley fires, nice throw, and catch out to the 49 to Deontay Thompson. Pick up a 19.
At this point in the game now for Florida, it becomes a drop back pass game. So that means those 5 guys up front, the offensive line, have to give John Brantley some time. No more option, no more quarterback runs until they get in around the goal line. Right now, it's just get back there and sling it down the field and see if they can get some big chunks of yardage.
5 receivers for him. First down at midfield. Short toss over the middle, and cut down is Hines after a pickup of 4. C.C. Whitlock made the tackle.
Now again, this Florida offense is a work in progress. I mean, they had success against Georgia and an outmanned Vanderbilt team, but this is a very good defense in South Carolina. Now they've had some tough matchup games like last week against Arkansas, but talent-wise, this is a good defense.
Brantley again has one tipped at the line of scrimmage. He's had that trouble. There must have been 5 passes that have been tipped tonight. So they have a quick break here to think about their 3rd down and 5. Clock ticking down, but the game clock not moving until the snap. And 3rd down. Brantley completes. First down and out of bounds at about the 30-yard line to Carl Moore.
Right now, Ellis Johnson and Lorenzo Ward, the defensive coordinators for this defense, are saying, you know, we'll let them complete some balls. And, you know, they can have some short gains. We'll try to keep things in front of us. And we'll make them eat up clock while they do it.
Comes a blitz. Brantley is going to go deep. Man there and incomplete. And looking for a flag was Deontay Thompson. It was Devin Taylor who delivered a hit on Brantley after he let go of the ball.
Now Devin Taylor is standing up. And he's going to come in and hit the quarterback. That big frame getting around the edge. And the ball got too far inside, probably because of the pressure from Taylor.
Had another good night. He and Cliff Matthews, a good pair of defensive ends on that front wall that includes Adjaboy and Robertson. That pass completed. Nope. Or is it a fumble? Well, we still don't know. I'm going to say incomplete. Carl Moore had his hands on it. Took a big shot from Devontae Holloman.
Now, when a wide receiver has to extend like that for the ball over the middle, You try to avoid that if you're a quarterback, because there's a safety waiting there to do exactly what Holloman did. Hit that guy right around the rib cage.
Brantley, here's big pressure again, trying to get a middle screen. Got it to Burton. Burton not going to get to the first down marker, though. Boy, South Carolina put the heat on so bad, even the play that might have been the right call was hurried so bad that it didn't turn out very well.
Now linebackers blitzing on that play, Dickerson and Antonio Allen.
So forced to go here to try to get something happening. 4th down and 2.
Jordan Reed in again. They was in on the last 4th down play.
This time he drops back and throws out. A good throw out to Rainey. Rainey down the sideline. Touchdown, Florida. Well, there's the speed that Todd was talking about that they've been able to utilize since he came back from suspension, but he really hadn't done much until that play.
Well, it's well designed and well executed by Jordan Reed. Watch him fake the run, a la Tim Tebow. Show run, step off the line of scrimmage and throw it. And Rainey was out there by himself. It's a nice block from Deontay Thompson, but the fake by the quarterback Reed is what sold the play.
Henry in for the point after. And it's up and good. 29-14. Crazier things have happened. 7:12 remaining in the football game. 70-yard march in 8 plays in just under 2 minutes. And it's Rainey doing his thing on the edge for the touchdown. Well, onside kick apparently coming up from Florida. 7:12 left. And down a couple of scores. Nothing like the ball coming off just to make your night better. The element of surprise, if there was any, just went away. So Bruss to try an onside kick. South Carolina with a good hands team up close. Now they decide to line drive and kick it away. It won't be an onside, and it will make the end zone, and it will put South Carolina at the 20-yard line after we check in with Reese Davis.
Brad, we've got a Dr. Pepper SEC studio update on ESPN2. Mississippi State and Alabama tied up 20-3. Julio Jones with a 56-yard touchdown run on the end around. Tide went up 30-3. State's had a touchdown. About 4 and change left to go on ESPN2. Alabama up 30-10.
Well, Alabama's so tough at home. I thought that game might be a little bit closer, but still Mississippi State's had, as you said, a heck of a year.
Auburn, even though they're going to the SEC championship game, they've got to go to Tuscaloosa before they go to Atlanta.
South Carolina just 7 minutes away from joining Auburn in Atlanta in the SEC title game the first weekend of December, and we saw the first go-around between the two teams this year.
Well, Steven Garcia in that game played really well for 3 quarters, and then in the 4th quarter he tried to make some things happen. He fumbled twice. Steve Spurrier pulled him in favor of Connor Shaw, and but he's played well tonight.
And it's their first timeout.
There's what happened in the first game.
That will be a 30
Cam Newton
timeout.
just doing basically what he has done all year and has continued to do in the victory over Georgia today, as he had 2 touchdowns running and 176 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. Alshon Jeffrey had a big game, and it was close, as Todd said, to the 4th quarter. You know, talk around here and around all of college football has been about Cameron Newton, and of course he started his college career here and then transferred when Tim Tebow decided to stay, went to junior college and then on to Auburn. All that talk all week long. We did talk to Jeremy Foley yesterday, athletic director of Florida, and said, has there been anybody that wanted to talk to you about the situation? And he just flat out, nope.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything. So there hasn't been anything around Florida as far as that whole deal is concerned.
Yeah, it's a strange story. You know, obviously the kid was able to put it behind him and played well again today. And the folks at Auburn, you know, you got to believe they've done their due diligence on this whole thing and making the decision to play him. But there are a lot of stories out there, and it's certainly we're a long way from the thing being resolved, I think.
It's kind of it's a sad deal in either case. If there's something to it, it's sad for college football. If there isn't anything to it, it's sad that Cam's got to go through this when he's having, you know, one of the most sensational seasons we've had by one individual in a long time. I think you're going to have a face mask call on that
Personal
last
foul,
round.
face mask. Number 40 of the defense, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic first down.
So it's almost like you can give Marcus Lattimore 15 more yards, though it doesn't go to his rushing total. But he's the guy that was face masked, and he's got it straightened out, and he's got his game straightened out. A couple of games when he was injured, South Carolina looks nothing like they do when this guy's running full blast. Well, there wasn't much to that one, unless I missed something in there. But at any rate, South Carolina's got it out to the 41-yard line. This time Lattimore met the hole by Trano.
We mentioned the last time South Carolina played Auburn, Marcus Lattimore only 33 yards on 14 carries.
Florida. That is their second timeout, second half. That will be a 30-second timeout.
Florida takes a timeout with 6:33
timeout
remaining in the ball game. Hasn't been a lot to chop about tonight. Down to the last 6:33 here in South Carolina with a 29-14 lead. We're 6.5 minutes away from a trip to the SEC title game for the first time in South Carolina history. Lattimore again. And Marcus got about 3 more. Holly?
Well, guys, what makes this performance even more special for South Carolina is that 11 of the 22 starters in this game are from South Carolina. Steve Spurrier has said that kids deciding to stay home and be special, create something there, has made a huge difference. Guys like Alshon Jeffrey, Marcus Lattimore were top recruits. They could have gone anywhere in the country, but by staying here and doing something that had never been done before at South Carolina, they've created something special. And Coach Spurrier says they have another terrific recruiting class coming in. Guys want to be part of something new and different.
You know, last time we were talking to Steve before the Arkansas game, and you and I and Holly were saying, you know, he's 65 years old. He's won a national championship. He didn't do well in the NFL. He's back here, 6th year. Finally, it's a big game that they're playing for a title. And I said to him, you know, you still, I said, I know winning's good, but are you still having fun? And he did have, as Holly said, because I think of the recruiting and how it's going and it's getting better, he's having fun coaching.
Well, and I think he knew this was his best opportunity. He had the right parts with the team when they got Lattimore, and he turned out to be the kind of player they expected him to be. And you got to look at him. Take a look at the SEC East. The perennial powers in the East are all down a little bit. Tennessee, Florida, and Georgia. They're a combined 15 and 15, I think, at this point. And so, you know, it was the right time for South Carolina to make a run to get to the SEC championship game.
3rd down and 7. Garcia going to get rid of it down the sideline. Ooh, that could have been costly. Trying to get it to Alshon Jeffrey.
That's one of those things where he tried to make a play when there wasn't a play. We saw him throw it away earlier in the game. Probably should have thrown that one away as well.
We got a legal man downfield. Alshon Jeffrey, an intended receiver on that one. He was
ineligible receiver downfield. Number 47 of the offense. The penalty is declined. 4th down.
Alshon hasn't caught a pass in the second half, but that's the first one they've aimed at him. So punting situation. Chris Rainey, always dangerous, is back on the other end. Try to keep it away from him at all possible, and he's going to take it on a hop. Oh boy, sometimes broken plays like this can be big. I don't think this is going to be one of them. Just a 3-yard return. So South Carolina kept the speedy guy in check on the punt return. As we take a look at our All-State good hands play of the game.
We're going to give it to a defensive team, and the tip ball that was intercepted off the hands of Carl Moore into the hands of Stephon Gilmore. And right now, the game back in the hands of the South Carolina defense. They've got to lock it down here. Florida scored a touchdown their last possession, and trying to refocus right now for the South Carolina defense.
Brantley will have 5 guys out there to throw it to. Florida is out of timeouts. Brantley, oh, that one should have been caught by Deontay Thompson. It wasn't. South Carolina, there's part of that front wall.
Yeah.
175 yards tonight is all they've allowed.
We saw him absolutely get torched for over 300 yards passing by Ryan Mallett a week ago. What a difference a week makes if you're a South Carolina defensive player.
Brantley on 2nd down and 10. We're under 6 minutes. Crossing pattern, got it complete, and it's going to be a first down to Hines. Pickup of 11. So they'll stop the clock to move the chains. Florida's going to get up to that line as quickly as possible so they can save every second. They need a couple of scores, and they don't have any timeouts to work with. Now they are using up some valuable seconds. Brantley threw that one too far in front. Gilmore almost had another interception.
Florida offense, the new offense, they wanted to create fatigue with the defense. They wanted to create problems lining up because of the speed of play.
Well, they're throwing everything in the middle of the field, complete to DeBose, but short of the first down. It's going to bring up 3rd down, and clock continues to run. Pickup of 6. They desperately need a hurry-up offense. They need it right now.
Well, again, South Carolina's content to give up those short completions over the middle. As long as that clock, which is on their side, continues to tick down.
That clock's going to be down to 5 minutes by the time they snap it. And the ball is out, and South Carolina's got it. That exchange on the handoff, and Josh Dickerson's got a fumble recovery. That should just about do it.
It was just a simple draw play to Demps. And a bad exchange between Brantley and Demps. Not sure if Demps saw that linebacker blitzing and lost focus on getting the football or what. Again, Demps has not played very much this entire season over the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Florida's going to be 500 in the conference play and 6-4 overall in the next 4 minutes and 57 seconds, unless there's some dramatic turn. Florida, 2 turnovers, both in their own territory tonight. And that last one might be the final thing that's going to go wrong for him tonight. While Marcus Lattimore continues a career high in carries. That's 39, I think, on the night. And he's closing in on 200 yards. So we guessed way back that he might end up with a 40-carry night and maybe a couple hundred yards. And he's going to be close on both of these. There is no place like the Georgia Dome and the scene of the SEC championship. And one team may or may not be undefeated. Obviously, South Carolina won't be, but they don't mind that right now. They just want the chance to win a title. It is a career high night right now for Marcus Lattimore on those 39 carries, 185 yards. And here comes number 40. And there goes Marcus Lattimore to the 10-yard line, and wisely gets down and stays in bounds and lets the clock run. And now that trip to Atlanta did take a detour to Gainesville, but now they get to go back to Columbia, and then they will get to Atlanta. Perfect triangle there. And it's not a Bermuda triangle. It'll be the Steve Spurrier triangle and the Marcus Lattimore triangle, and 197 yards on 40 carries. So we guessed 40 and 200, and we're pretty close.
He might get a seat first class on the way home, too.
That could be. What a night for the young fella. Now, Brian Maddox is taking his spot, losing some yardage. So Marcus Lattimore, the next time he goes out, he'll go over 1,000, and he and Alshon Jeffrey, well, he's coming back into the game. I meant the next time they play a football game. He's not done playing yet, I guess. 1,000-yard season just around the corner for him. They're never going to forget George Rogers, but if this kid sticks around for 3 years, they won't forget him very soon either. Second down and goal at the 11-yard line. Lattimore broke 1 tackle, 2 tackles, 3 tackles, still on his feet. He might score. He's in. Touchdown. And Marcus Lattimore just punched the final ticket to the Georgia Dome for the Gamecocks.
He got a little help from his friends on that one, as he was stopped at about the 2. And he just got driven into the end zone by the center T.J. Johnson and a couple other South Carolina offensive players.
You know, when Holly was talking to Danny Werfel, she said, you might be the last guy that Steve has liked as a quarterback. I don't know if I've ever seen Steve like a running back like he likes this one. Extra point is good. Well, it now is a dominating performance for the Gamecocks' first win ever in Gainesville, and this is the capper for number 21.
Well, DeMarco with a block, 2 bad tackles by the Gators, and then watch the end, just the surge. T.J. Johnson was behind him, grabbed him, and just pulled him into the end zone, and then other guys push him from the front. But this guy has been spectacular tonight.
I didn't think when you and I watched the Georgia game that I would see a better performance out of him. We just did tonight. And that's how it feels. That kind of a golf swing and a fist. That's when one of those putts goes in. Only that was not a putt. That was a driver for 11 yards.
Well, he is what makes the engine go. I mean, when that running game is on, Marcus Lattimore is doing what he's doing. Garcia's better. Alshon Jeffrey gets one-on-one matchups. And the whole team plays better.
41 carries, 207 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The last one a bruising 11-yard encounter with half the guys on the field for Marcus Lattimore. Kickoff. There are no more answers for Florida tonight as they're getting routed here on their home field. Taken on 1 hop at the 11-yard line by Patton. And he got head on at the 30-yard line. Let's check in with Reese Davis. 2:35 remaining. All week long, or for the last 2 weeks actually, that we've been around Steve Spurrier. Holly's been asking him for 2 weeks, how are you going to feel if you go down to the swamp and win the SEC East title and get a trip to Atlanta? And he kept saying, I'm not going to answer that until that situation arises. It's about to arise. I hope Holly gets a chance to ask him one more time. And you know she will.
Well, it's really good to see for him because, you know, it's taken time. It's taken time to kind of rebuild the culture at South Carolina, to get the recruits to stay at home like Holly was talking about. And really to get to Atlanta now, whether they win or not, will enhance their recruiting from this point on.
No doubt.
In-state particularly. Speaking of in-state, I mean, you know, they don't go to Atlanta next week. I mean, they still got 2 games. They got to play Troy next week at home, and then they travel to Clemson at the end of the year.
That's a big rival.
Their in-state rival game.
But this one locks up what they were looking for. Reed fires down the middle and completes. Well, we we showed you this about 3.5 hours ago. Florida's been there more than anybody, and that bottom row had a bunch of zeros, and now South Carolina, for the first time, is going to the SEC championship game. Steve Spurrier did it 7 times when he was wearing orange and blue, but darn it in black tonight. And he doesn't have to worry about the headset anymore. And with that guy around, he doesn't have to worry about a lot of things. There's a little shovel pass on the inside. And Burton to Reed. And Reed picks up about 14 yards. Down the final 120. So the evolving Florida offensive scheme takes a setback tonight for Urban Meyer. There'll be better nights and better days as they continue to evolve in this system of hurry up. They didn't get a chance to really use it tonight because they couldn't get any rhythm going, and you can't go with a hurry up and try to run 100 plays when you can't get 3 of them without punting. Well, BCS Countdown Show is coming up 8:15 Eastern tomorrow night, presented by Allstate. First chance you'll get to see if anything's changed in the BCS standings. Reese Davis and the guys will break it all down for you tomorrow night. Reed stays in there at the quarterback spot. Rolls to his left and snaps off a throw that's complete. Out of bounds. Frankie Hammond stops the clock. And the ball coach just got wet over there. Here it comes.
Wow, they got him good.
Yeah, they did get him good. Although he kind of looked like he knew it was coming.
I think he was ready to take that one.
He braced for that.
He did.
Yeah. And then a little wiggle to let the ice go down the back. Frankie Hammond with the completion, but Steve Spurrier taking South Carolina where they've never been before and helping South Carolina get rid of an 0 for 12 trip to Gainesville that's been hanging over their head. So that's another one you don't have to think about. You don't have to bring that up every time they play here.
Reed carries, gain of 5.
Lynch in their first SEC East title in school history. And the first win at Florida. He's going to get a ride, too. Not only did he get doused, he's like, wait a minute, guys, there's a couple plays left. Premature on the lift. He goes, oh, wait a minute, we don't want to do that anyway. You just about hear what he's saying down there. They may not listen to him, though.
Well, this is going to be a special trip home for Steve and his staff and the team, his wife Jerry. And this is special for them.
South Carolina had the ball almost 41 minutes tonight. They only had 4 penalties. They had no turnovers. And Steve told us if we play about as good as we can play and they don't, we got a chance. You know, that's always the way he says it. We got a chance. They had more than a chance. They came prepared and they carried out the game plan almost perfectly. And Florida struggled all night long and are going to lose it 36-14 unless they score in the last play here.
Well, you saw that little exchange with Steven Garcia. You know, not only is Spurrier coming home, Garcia is one of 18 players on the South Carolina roster from the state of Florida. So extra sweet for a lot of those Gamecocks on that sideline.
Yep. South Carolina blitzing on the last play of the ball game, and it pays off. And now the celebration can begin. And now if they're going to give him a lift, they might as well give him a lift. He's been carried off this field before wearing different colors. Tonight, as a head coach of South Carolina, he wins the SEC East, and the Gamecocks are heading to Atlanta. Congratulations to Steve Spurrier in South Carolina. He can still draw a crowd in Gainesville, can he?
Still a rock star.
Yep.